We've been following Blake on their transition from female to male over the last few months, and I'm really looking forward to sitting down with you and discussing exactly where you are right now. Gender, shaping our interaction with the world, our perception of others, and our day-to-day experiences. But what is it like when you get to experience both ends? Meet Blake Sebastian, a transmasculine individual. Blake, who prefers to be referred to by the gender-neutral pronoun they, opens up about their experience before and during transition. This is Self-Made, a Journey of Transition. Hi, so I just wanted to get an update about where you've been since the last time we spoke.
Well, the last time we spoke was a little bit before my top surgery. So what has happened since is I went to Victoria, over in Vancouver Island, and I got top surgery, and I got the peri-areolar procedure. So that happened about 3 weeks ago.
Okay, and just so we can specify what that means, so what does that mean in like layman's terms in terms of the surgery you had?
In the lamest terms, it's basically a mastectomy.
Okay.
So there's different types of mastectomies, and the one that I got, basically the surgeon cuts around the areola, and then cuts around that and takes a piece of skin kind of shaped like a donut, and then stretches the skin and then stitches it back together.
Okay.
So. Yeah.
And so when we've talked in the past, we've discussed about how not everyone who's going through a transition decides to go through with surgery. So what was the turning point for you when you decided that this was a step you wanted to take?
Right, well, and I can't speak for everybody because everybody's different. For me, what I would say is that I've always had gender dysphoria ever since I can remember. Some people end up not getting some surgeries because they are non-binary and they feel more in between, and other people because of complications decide to not get certain surgeries.
Right.
Yeah, in my case, it's not something that I ever wanted there, so why have it there?
Right.
So
it was a pretty easy decision then for you.
Yeah, I didn't really have to think about it too much. Yeah.
And so post-surgery, have there been any like emotional effects that you've experienced? Because it's a very physical piece of the transition, but has it affected you emotionally at all?
About a week and a half into it, yeah, because it was like one thing went wrong after another, and the first 2 weeks were actually pretty terrible. Like it sucked. So it's like I had to go all the way to Vancouver Island, and then I was back. Then I had to go again because one side just wasn't stopping bleeding. I was supposed to get the drain out taken here in Vancouver. It didn't work out, so that's when I had to go back to Victoria. But everything looks okay at this point. I'm gonna have to go to Victoria in about a week or two, and then have the surgeon take a look at it again. But everything seems to be going as it's supposed to be now.
Okay.
So yeah.
And let's reflect a little bit on your experience with the medical system. So we've talked about this before. So what has your experience been in terms of interfacing with primary care and the surgeons and your post-operative care?
It depends, because I know that trans health is definitely not a priority for the government.
Right.
And if I think about it, like statistically, I can understand why are people going to put research and funding into around 0.3 of the population, which is around the number of people that medically transition from one gender to another. So I can understand that governments have heart disease, they have diabetes, they have all these other conditions to worry about. But transitioning right now is a big part of my life, and I know that in the medical system, I'm definitely not a priority.
Right.
So yeah, sure, I've experienced, for example, for this surgery, I waited for about 2 years.
Wow.
I know somebody who has been waiting for bottom surgery for 5 years, but that's only because only 2 years ago, bottom surgery for trans men became funded, like other surgeries. But like the list on that is massive just from all those years. So from that point of view, like I know that I'm not a priority, and if I go to different walk-in clinics, sometimes surgeons might not necessarily know what they're talking about. For example, I went to a walk-in clinic like a week and a half ago, and the guy didn't know anything that he was talking about, because obviously he doesn't know about trans people, he doesn't know about trans health, he doesn't know about trans surgeries, and basically all the advice that he gave me went completely against any advice that I got from my family doctor or from my surgeon.
Right.
So I don't know, it's tough, but I'm kind of used to it.
Okay.
So.
And did you share the experience on social media, and what has the reaction been?
I did share a lot of the details of what happened on social media. As usual, like I definitely get a lot of support from people that know me, a lot of support from other trans people, and then at times other trans people will tell me, oh, I had a complication too, or this
Right.
happened to me as well. So it makes me feel like I'm not alone.
Okay.
But overall, like it has been support that I've received. I might end up cutting this part out. That's something that I don't necessarily always express in interviews or anything, is that if there was the medical knowledge, if there was the sort of neurology knowledge in terms of like brain structure, and this is something that I thought about before transition, and it's something that I think about now.
Right.
You know, if I could have gone into a doctor and said, hey, this is what's going on, can you fix whatever is going on in my brain and make me feel female and have me live as female for the rest of my life, I would have chosen that. And I thought about that before I started hormones, but I wasn't going to dwell on medical knowledge that wasn't going to exist in my lifetime.
Right.
Because I knew that transitioning is complex. I knew that bottom surgery is primitive at this point. There's all of these factors that I know that are medically primitive. But I kind of saw it as picking out of the lesser two evils. And I thought the best choice that I could do is to transition. And could I have made a choice, I would have gone another route. But it's not possible at this point.
Right. And so then the last question I have for you is, do you feel like who you are in the world has changed?
Internally or to other people?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
More internally.
I mean, emotions change. I have the same moral values. I have the same things that I've always believed. But yeah, emotions feel different. So I don't get sad in the same way. I don't react to certain things in the same way. And whether you can argue that it's hormonal or not, it's hard to say. But I would say that most trans people, whether it be trans men or trans women, they experience a change in the way that they feel their emotions. Mm-hmm. But that's something that I was expecting, because it's something that somebody did tell me. But in terms of who I am as a person and my values, I would say that that's has remained the same.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.